Hi everyone, Elliot Jacobson here, and today I want to talk about the UR Way Egalite side bet. And we're going to figure out how we can beat this and how much it's worth, and maybe you will be taking a trip to some exotic place sometime soon. All right, as usual, I have a PowerPoint, so let's get right to this. In order to really talk about the value of this thing, I have to explain to you how we evaluate the dollar value of a side bet. So playing against a side bet is essentially the same as wonging in blackjack. That is, you wait until the count is what you want it to be, and you use your card counting system, and when the count is good enough, then what you do is you enter the shoe and you start making your bets, and when the count goes negative or below some target value, you leave. Well, that's exactly what we do on side bets. A side bet is just going to be a countable situation, so we're going to have a card counting system, we're going to keep some sort of count, we're going to hit a target, we're going to make the bet, and then we'll leave or stop making the bet when we go below that target count. So just to get some baselines, I asked many years ago Norm Wattenberger from QFit.com. He has great software there. If you are into blackjack analysis or card counting at all, it is must-own software. At any rate, I asked him this question. Suppose we had a perfect card counter. So this card counter is in a situation where there is absolutely no heat whatsoever for him to be playing against the game. He's able to just spread as much as he wants, go in and out of the game. So this person is going to be playing, for example, a 6-deck, hit on 17, double on anything, double after split game. And there is even a very good cut card, plays 52 cards from the end. And the strategy this card counter is going to use, again, this is just a pure abstract situation, is every time the count goes above +1 or higher, so that he has an edge, he'll make a wager of $100. And when the true count is below +1, he'll sit the hand out. And nobody cares. They're letting this guy do this. And he knows every index. He plays perfectly, never makes a mistake. How much can this person win making a $100 bet every time he has the edge and otherwise not playing? How much could this person win in 100 hands? What's his expected value? And Norm ran this for me and came up with the number $33.58 for the perfect card counter. And this actually checks out fairly accurately with values provided by Don Schlesinger in his Blackjack Attack books, where you actually have a real life card counter who is spreading and is making somewhere in the low 20s on the same game. Okay, now how about double deck? Again, assume we have a double deck game, a perfect card counter who can just jump in and out of the game every time he has the edge. He makes a bet of $100, otherwise he doesn't bet. A deep cut card, 29 cards from the end. So on a double deck game, which we expect to be more profitable, yes, indeed, he is making a $66.29 per 100 hands in expected value. So thank you once again to Norm for these. These are our great benchmarks. So here are our benchmarks, and I'm treating blackjack as a side bet of itself because the person who is wonging in and wonging out is essentially playing blackjack as if it were a side bet. All right, now let's go ahead and look at probably the most well-known Baccarat side bet as far as being exploitable. And this is one that I wrote about originally, I think back in 2011. I may make a video about just about this side bet and tell this story. It's quite an interesting story. At any rate, the Dragon 7, which is also the Fortune 7, it's lost its patent, so it can be used in any number of situations under any number of names now. And baseline house edge of 7.61%. And this is the card counting system that I developed for it. So you can see that what we're really interested in are having the shoe be rich in 4, 5, 6, and 7s and low have depleted 8s and 9s. Because to win this bet, we need to have 3 cards in the banker's hand. So in order for the dealer to have 3 cards, it's a good idea that he doesn't get a natural 8 or a natural 9. And when the banker hand does draw a third card, then that third card is going to be drawn to totals of 3, 4, 5, 6, things like that. So we want these sort of middle value cards to be in there in order to create the total of 7 for the banker's hand. And so it's a fairly natural card counting system. And when you use that card counting system, you already see that you are winning more for that $100 wager on the Dragon 7 than you do even if you are a perfect card counter at double deck blackjack. And that's why there was so much interest in this side bet even early on. But we're going to get something a little bit better. We're going to be talking about the tie side bet. Now, just to remind you of some work that I've previously done, I did develop a card counting system just for the Baccarat tie bet. And if you use that card counting system, it will pay the same strategy. I have the system on my website, advancedadvantageplay.com. And use the system, and you have to find an extremely good situation where the tie bet actually pays 9 to 1 rather than 8 to 1. If you do that, you can win about $5 per 100 hands just by card counting the Baccarat tie bet. Obviously something that people will not be very interested in doing. So here's where the UR Way Egalite side bet comes in. So what actually happened is these people got the idea to divide the tie bet, which is simply a tie without specifying the number. We can divide that into 10 separate side bets. And those side bets correspond to a tie on 0, a tie on 1, a tie on 2, and so on up through a tie on 9. So now we have 10 separate side bets. And just to show you a little bit more about that, let's actually go on to Google and explore the UR Way Egalite Baccarat side bet and see what's out there. So here we are. By the way, this top entry right here, this is the original article I wrote for AP Heat on beating the UR Way Egalite side bet. But let's actually go down and look at the website that is devoted to this game by the people who offer this game. And we can see in this that they have around the table all of the various ties. So a tie on 0, 1, 2, all the way up. And each of these ties has a different edge on it, so or a different pay table. So we have a tie on 0, 0, 0 tie would pay 150 to 1, a 1, 1 tie, 215 to 1, and so on. So rather than just simply having a tie bet, we can see that we have 10 different side bets now. And each of these side bets will have its own card counting system and its own value it's worth. So if we just look at some of these different places where there are links here, you can actually see that there are some casinos out there that are offering this today, and they talk about it. So here is an example of the side bet UR Way Egalite being offered at this Horizons casino, for example. So you can track this thing down and see various locations where this is right now. So yeah, it's out there. I mean, this is honestly out there in the casino world today. Now, let us just go back to the PowerPoint and talk about the difference between a generic tie, not knowing what you're tying on, and actually tying on any individual number as a separate side bet for each. So here are the house edges for each of the 10 side bets that are being offered. And you can see the house edges range from 6.39% here on up to over 12% on a couple of these. They are not astronomically large house edges to overcome with a counting system. So what I did was to come up with a counting system for each of these side bets. And this table, again, this is from my article that I referenced when we went to Google there. Here are these card counting systems for each. And so, for example, if we look at a tie on 9, just at that card counting system, what is the most important card to tie on a 9? Well, it's obviously having 9s in the shoe. So if a 9 exits the shoe, the tag for that is -8, right? That's an awful card to have leave the shoe. So how do you get a 9? Well, you get a 9 with usually with a 9 and a 0 valued card, a 10. So you see the +1 here. And many of these other early systems tie on 5 or 4 or 6, 7, 8, or 9. You notice that all of these along this diagonal have a key card that is critical to tying on that number. And it's only a tie on 0 that has a relatively non-intuitive card counting system, but every other one of these is focused around a single card. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. You're not going to use 10 card counting systems simultaneously. What you're going to do is, if you are solo, is try and do 2 or 3 of them. But this is actually the pay table that shows how much each one of these separately and individually is worth per 100 hands. Again, we're talking about betting $100 if the true count is over a trigger number. And we see that, for example, the 0-0 tie is worth $232 per 100 hands. The 2-2 tie is worth $233. The 7-7 tie is worth $265, right? So you see, every single one of these side bets, of these 10 side bets, is worth more than the Dragon 7, just as a side bet by itself. So what is the right way to play against this thing? Well, what you want to do is you want to get a team of 10 people together, I would suppose, and have each person be counting one of these side bets. This is an idea. Or you could just focus on some of the most lucrative ones, you know, all the ones that pay more than 200, and have a team of 4 just focused on those. And so now each person at the table is going to keep count of their side bet. And when that one person makes their side bet, then every other member of the team knows that they should also make that player's indicated side bet. In other words, the team doesn't need to communicate with each other. They just watch each other's play, and when one of them makes their bet, then they all make that same bet. And it's a very straightforward thing to do. And of course, you're allowed to keep score at Baccarat, so that makes it even easier to keep track. And when you do that, these are the numbers you get. Rather than $73.60, if you play the UR Way Egalite, then every single member essentially earns the sum total of this entire bottom row. That's one player earns that, right? But you have a team of 10 players. And so your team is now winning $19,450 per 100 hands against this game. So this is an extraordinarily crushable side bet. And the folks in the UK know this. I have spoken to some of them in game protection. And so they have various ways of identifying card counters. They also have put the cut card not at 14 cards, but maybe a couple decks from the end. I don't know all the work that has gone into protecting this because I've been out of the business for a couple of years, but the fact that it still exists surprises me. It is an extraordinarily vulnerable side bet to team play, right? So get your team together, get your team of 4 guys together. I actually saw this in action when I was in the UK as Phil Ivey's expert witness. I visited a few casinos and saw the thing on the floor, and there it was. You could just play against it, and I've never seen anything like it on any casino floor anywhere survive as a side bet as long as this one has. I would love to hear in the comments anybody who has played against this. If you want to share your experience, I would love to hear in the comments if you are from a casino that offers this and what sort of game protection you use. So this is in the public domain, the fact that this is a beatable side bet, and I'm just sharing that with you right now. Now, here is the sort of the sum total of a lot of work I've done over the years in terms of actually evaluating the vulnerability of a whole bunch of side bets. And we can see all of these side bets listed here, ranging from the tie bet paying $5 up through blackjack, 6 decks, 2 decks. Here we have the Dragon 7. There's a couple others that the Panda 8 is also very common. But you can see just the extraordinary difference that happens here when we move to the UR Way Egalite with a team of 10 people at work on it. So yeah, I just think that this is something that you should know about, because there is so much nonsense about Baccarat, so much fakery and scams and frauds and things like that. And here is a perfectly bona fide way to beat the game that exists on the planet apparently right now. So you don't need to be tracking streaks of players and bankers, or using your intuition, or moving the cards, bending the cards and peeling them up from one corner then the next. You don't need any of that. Just play against this side bet and you will do just fine, I promise you. So if you are in the casino world and your casino offers this, then just be careful. Be aware that there are probably people in your casino right now who are beating you by virtue of playing against this side bet. So yeah, you want to know, all right? You want to know what the people are doing who are out there trying to beat you. And I guarantee you, if you offer this side bet with deep penetration in your shoe, then you will have counters attacking this particular side bet. So please beware. Well, I hope that was interesting for you. I kind of rushed through a lot of material there, but I think a lot of you are sophisticated enough to kind of follow what I've been saying here. So take it, look around. You never know what you can find when you actually start thinking about some of these remarkably powerful ways of beating the house that are available. All right, everyone, this is Elliot Jacobson. See you later.